Alright, this is in conjunction with my other video of how to make a camshaft holder for a 2.8 liter Audi V6. It is good for the 12 valve and 30 valve because I have two differently spaced cam holders for the passenger's side cam. Now, a little more detail on how to make this thing. I had a 4-foot piece of 3/16 inch steel from Lowe's. My cam holes have got to be 1.5 inches, so you have to have at least a 2-inch piece of steel, which I believe this is what this was. 2-inch by 3/16 by 4 feet. And what that gave me was enough metal to make the tool and screw up once and throw part of it away and still have enough steel to make it. So I'm here to teach you how to make the tool. If you do not have basic metalworking tools, skills, and or brains, I suggest just buying one off of eBay. I know it sounds like I don't want you to make it, but if you're going to insist on making it, I want to make it as easy as possible for you. So I have a square. This makes it easy to mark a center line on your steel. If it's 2-inch steel, set it for 1 inch, throw it down, and score a line on the center. So what you're going to want to do is I took this piece, was here, I put all my marks on it, put it in the drill press, drilled all the holes, and then I cut it off because this makes it easy to hold this piece. Small hole is 13/64 inch drill bit because you're going to tap it out to a 6mm 6x1 threads. The larger hole is an 8mm bolt. You're going to drill it out with a 1/4 inch drill and tap it to 8x125 threads. And those bolts are going to hold your camshaft still in your... Where did I put you? Quickly. There you are. Your diamond-shaped cam washer. If I flip this over properly, they line up very pretty-like. And they're oval, so you have enough room to mess up by a few millimeters. So here's the deal. You need a 1.5 inch hole. I cut with a hole saw. Drill press, lots of oil, go slow. This is not the hole saw I used, it's bigger, but that's my general idea. So, what you're going to do, draw a line down the center. Come in 3 inches from the, you want a 3-inch piece here. So 1.5 inches in, you mark your center line for your hole. I have a scratch awl. I would scratch a line down the center. I would measure in 1.5 inches from the edge. So from this edge to the center of the hole is 1.5 inches. I'd mark a line. Then what you do is this bolt and this bolt are 2 1/4 apart. So 1 1/16 out. You come out 1 1/16 and you mark a line. You come from here out 1 1/16, mark a line. Same thing here, come out 1 1/16, mark another line. Boom. So then you punch. God damn it. Shush. So then you punch. Where'd my marks go? And you punch. Boom, boom, boom. Drill a hole, center hole, center. Please focus. Thank you. And hole saw for the center. Then you wind up with this piece. I sliced it off, the end, brought it up, welded it on. All you want to do is make sure that these two bolts are on a perfectly straight line down the center because you want them to line up with these. in a perfectly straight line down the center when you go to line up your cams. Okay, so now you have one end made, and you're going to want to make sure the other end lines up correctly the first time, like mine did not. I made this out of one piece, and my measurements were off. So this one fit the first engine, but this one did not fit the second engine. This is a 12 valve engine, it's narrower. 30 valve engine, much wider. According to my measurements I got off of parts on eBay, tools on eBay, they're supposed to be 4 inches apart. They're not. They are 3 15/16. Screenshot. Yes, thank you. 3 15/16 apart. So what I did here, this was sitting on the end out here. Easy to work with while it's still attached to the bar. Measure 1.5 inches in, drill your hole. Alright, no, measure 1.5 inches in, make your mark. Out 1.16 inches from the center, out 1.16 inches from the center, mark your 2 holes. Remember, the bigger hole goes towards the center, so drill the right holes in the right spots. 8mm here and here, because they point towards the center of the engine. 6mm here and here, because they point towards the outside of the engine. Opposite on this one, 8mm on inside. Bigger bolts point towards the center of the engine. Then, mark first 1.5 inches in. Then from this mark, measure over 3 15/16. It's almost 4 inches, which is what I did and got it wrong. So if you measure over 3 15/16, mark that for your center hole saw hole. Then measure out from here, 1.16 inches, out from here, 1.16 inches, because these are 2 1/4 apart. You should wind up with one whole piece that's about 6 inches long, sitting on the end. Slice it off. Then you take this piece, tap all your holes, get your bolts in them, because you're going to put this piece on the engine you're working on. If you're working on a 30 valve, you put this one on it. Working on a 12 valve, you put this one on it. You're going to line it up to the engine, and then you're going to weld them on. This one, that was great for the paint. This one I just welded on freehand. Just made sure it was straight. The 2 edges were straight together. And there you are. That was put on, and I happened to do this on an A4 where I had the whole front of the engine off, front of the car off. It's so much easier to reach everything. And then this one you would line up on the cam and kind of clamp the bar to the piece you just made. Tack weld it, you know, get your welder in there, put down a tack. I forget how I held it. I got a needle nose vice grips here and a big C clamp here, but you got to carefully line it up so that these are in a straight line with these. It all has to be perfectly level, and that's the reason for having the bolts all on a center line, so they're in a perfectly straight line, because these edges are good from the manufacturer. So before you go and weld, one thing I forgot, before you go and weld, I marked where the pulley was. I just put a line, eyeballed it where the pulley sat on my other car, and I made 2 bends going backwards here, and then 2 bends coming forwards here. The details are in the other video. And what you want to make sure of when you make these bends and you're down to the final hurrah is that this surface here and this surface here are straight with one another. That you have a flat surface with a depression for the pulley and a flat surface. So cam surface lines up with cam surface, and you have something to avoid the pulley with. A space to avoid the pulley with. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, send me a message. Thanks. Bye-bye.